Hi guys, today I'm going to teach you how I made this octopus out of clay and put him in this beautiful shell and filled it with resin to make it look like he's floating in water. So you can see me here, I'm just creating the octopus out of this Sculpey clay, and then after I get him built, I put him inside of the shell and I just form him the way I want him to sit. Then I continued on and I just added some beads for the eyes. I put some small details on there, made some marks on him to give him some texture. Then I went ahead and baked him in the oven inside the shell, which I do not recommend doing. Next time I will bake him outside of the shell. I didn't videotape the painting process, but you can see that I painted him and added some Pearl-Ex pigments to make him shine. And now the fun part. I'm going to be filling up the shell with some resin to make it look like he's swimming. As you can see, I did not paint the underside. And then I put some white sand down the bottom, and he fits in there snug because that's the way I baked him. So I'm going to go ahead and use Liquid Diamonds epoxy resin. It's a 2-to-1 resin, which means you're going to be using 2 parts of A, which is the resin, and 1 part of B, which is the hardener. The nice part about Liquid Diamonds epoxy resin is they give you a mixing instruction guide and they explain to you how to mix it properly. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab my gloves. You always want to use gloves when you're working with epoxy resin. So I'm going to go ahead and put those on. The next thing you're going to want to do is put on your respirator mask. It's very important when working with epoxy resin. You do not want to breathe in these fumes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grab part A of the resin, give it a little shake, and I'm going to fill up my cup and try to judge about how much epoxy resin I'm going to need to fill up the shell. So I'm just going to mention that when you're using the casting resin, it's only recommended that you pour 1 inch at a time and let that harden before you go in and pour the next layer. So now I'm going to grab part B, which is the hardener, and I'm going to, in a separate cup, pour half of the amount that I did of part A. Now I'm going to go ahead and dump the cups both into a larger cup and give it a good mix for approximately 4 to 5 minutes. Okay, now that it's all mixed up, I'm going to slowly pour it on top of my octopus. You'll notice that this resin has very little bubbles, but you're still going to want to torch it. This is a butane torch. It's very gentle. You just want to go ahead and move the flame around quickly just to pop any air bubbles that you might see. Okay, layer 1 is now dry. So what I'm going to do, you see, is I'm going to go ahead and do the same procedure all over again to pour layer 2. Now I'm just going to take my finger and dip it in the resin and just run some over the octopus's legs and his head just to give it some extra firmness so when it dries I don't have to ever worry about it breaking. Okay, so layer 2 is now dry and I am ready to do the third layer. Again, I'm going to repeat the same procedure I did in the beginning and pour it on. And that's it. He's all finished. Isn't he cute? Thanks for watching my video tutorial on how I made this cute little 3D octopus out of clay and used Liquid Diamonds epoxy resin to fill up this beautiful seashell to make him look like he's fresh out of the ocean.